Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. It's time to do something about the Citroen Visa. It wasn't really my plan to start on this project just now because I have all the other stuff lying around that I need to finish up. But as I showed you in the previous video, the rear axle is going through the floor at one side, partly due to rust, but some of it are also stress cracks, it looks like. I don't think it's very rusty actually, so I think it will be rather easy to fix. But to do that right, I will need to take off the rear axle. So today I would like to do that. And I have already seen the first problem, and that is the exhaust is one long piece. So I need to cut that because I need to take it off, and I don't want to take it off all the way up at the engine. So I will cut that and then start by taking the wheels off and all that and see what's what. And I just finished cutting off the exhaust system. As you can maybe see, it's homemade. So there was no really way to take it off without cutting it or taking it off all the way up at the exhaust manifold. And it looks like I would have to take off the front stabilizer arm and stuff like that. So I opted for this solution. That means that I would have to make a new connection right there. I would like to make a connection so I can take the exhaust off in the future, because I don't like one complete full-length setup. It also makes it possible to fix stuff like this. So now I can continue on stripping down the rear end to remove the rear axle. The next step is to remove the tires and the drums, because I would like to disconnect the handbrake cable, and I would like to do that at the wheel side because I have another rear axle that I hope to fit to this car. I'm not sure it will fit, but if it will, I would like to use that instead. And so that's the way I'm going to do it. So I will start by taking off the wheels and the drums, and then hopefully remove the handbrake cable. The real issue that we are here to try to solve is this. I don't know how well it picks up, but the entire wheel is loose because that the rear axle right there is not really connected to the car anymore. So it's only connected at the strut tower and in the middle and over there, which is not good enough. I noticed one other thing that is pretty nerve-wracking, to be honest. Not a big deal because now I know and I can fix it. But this is part of the rear axle. It's a big bracket where the axle arms are fitted to and go to the wheels. All is good there, but there is no bolt right there, and there is no bolt right there either. There is still one right there, another one right there. So 2 out of 4 bolts are not fitted, and the floor on this side has rusted through and is not connected anymore. So this is pretty dangerous. But what I'm so far pretty happy to see is that the inside right here is actually not rusty. It has been fixed already. It looks like it had some welding done not that long ago. And this is the bracket right there that is now no longer connected to the car. You can see it's went through the floor because of rust and maybe also stress cracks, because it doesn't seem so rusty. So what I need to do is to remove this and that bracket and fix up the floor and then reattach the bracket, and then we should be good to go, I hope. But other than that down here, I'd say that this Citroen Visa is in really good condition overall. It's not looking too bad. The bad part is actually the rear axle that we are going to take off. Maybe we will find some more rust down here, but so far so good. It's looking really decent. And here's the cut. It's not the cleanest cut in the world, but I hope to just put a flange on it, or maybe just enlarge it and make it a slip fit with a clamp. I loosened these up before putting the car up in the air, because otherwise this won't be powerful enough and it will just spin if I try to use a lever. But now it is loose. One tire off. As mentioned, I have another axle lying around in way better condition than this, but it's a 3 bolted pattern, not 4, so I'm not sure it will fit, but hopefully I can just take this part and transfer to the other one, otherwise I can't use it. The other thing is it doesn't got a anti-roll bar, so I'll have to see if I can fit that to the other one. But right now I just would like to take off the drum. And then remove this. Oh, sorry. There we go. It's looking really nice in here. It was MOT'd before it was put away back in 2018. And you can see that all the braking gear is new. So that's really nice. I could also just remove the handbrake cable from inside the car, but remember, I would like to try to transfer all this to the other axle. And if that is possible, I would need to do this anyway. And if not, then I will just have to refit it. That will give me the opportunity to re-grease everything and make sure that all is good. It's nice to see that everything in here is in really good condition. There we go, one cable off. Something I need to check out on this is that for some reason it has been grinding away on the wheel cylinder. I think it's the wheel bolts being slightly too long. Could look like there is some wear marks right there. So I am about to take out the brake fluid from the system, because I will disconnect the line to the rear and I don't want it to drip out. So I'll take most of it out from here. And then I noticed that this, although it is a dual circuit system, it's 2 separate systems. And it's a bit surprising that this car is made like this, because this is the front and this is the rear. That means if I have a leak on the front system, I will lose both of the disc brake system and only have the rear to stop it. On most cars from the late 80s and forward, got a split system. That means that you have, for instance, left front and right rear connected in one circuit and vice versa. If you get a leak on one of the circuits, you will still brake diagonally on the car, which is better, because rear drums are really not very effective if it's the only thing you have to stop the car with. So I'm surprised to see a system like this on a car from, is it 85 or something like that? It's a bit surprising. Anyway, I want to drain the system. Yeah, it's about time to change it also. It's not as light colored as it is supposed to be. So next up, underneath the car, I would like to disconnect this one. Wow, that's stuck. Really stuck. I'm just gonna let it soak for a bit. While that soaks, let's try the one at the other side. Ah, that's much better. But I'm just gonna let it drip off while I work on the other one. I can't get that loose. It will just round off. I tried so much stuff. I even brought out the right tool for it. Didn't work. Tried heat, tried a lot of stuff. Realized that I have now used so much time that I could have fabricated this line 3 or 4 times, I think. It's a very simple line. So I'm just going to cut it. Then hopefully I can take that out using a impact wrench and then just make a new line. Worst case I will have to change soft line also. So I'm just gonna cut it like that. I think this was all for today. See you tomorrow. And good morning. It's another day, and I'm gonna remove the two last bolts holding the middle part of the rear axle in place. It won't fall down though, because it's still attached at the sides and at the top of the springs. And also two of them are already missing, so it's going to be rather easy to do this part. And there we go. So the last thing down here is to disconnect the brake bias valve. This is a valve that adjusts the rear brake pressure when the load on the rear seats or the rear of the car increases. It will put more pressure on the rear, because if that wasn't fitted, then either you would have to set the brake bias way too low for a heavy load, or it will lock up the rear when you have nothing in the rear of the car. That's a big problem. So if this valve is not working and stuck at the high load position, you will get a car that really easy spins if you touch the brakes in a corner. So it needs to work. And I think we can lower the car slightly and put some jack stands underneath. So I think it's just a matter of rising the car now, and the axles should stay on the axle stands. Maybe it will drop down, but as long as I have nothing underneath, it wouldn't matter too much. Then what is the lift again? It's not that heavy. So the rear axle of the Visa is out right here. And as you can see, the bracket that it bolts onto came off as well. It's supposed to be on the car. It's not a surprise. I was expecting this, but this just shows how bad it was. It was not at all connected to the actual body of the car on this side. The middle part was attached, of course. It was just missing two bolts, and the other side was attached as it was supposed to do on the body shell of the car. I am still debating whether to take the other rear axle that I have right over there and fit to the car. You might be able to see that the springs are way higher on that one, so I need to use the springs and suspension from the old axle. And I would also have to put the anti-roll bar on that, so I'm not really completely decided. Another thing is that this one is really bendy. I think the bushings inside of there are maybe worn out. It's way better. It's way better on this one, so I might end up just fitting the correct rear axle, but I haven't decided yet because I need to do something about that rust first. And underneath the car, we got the problem right there. As you can see, the inside of the sill has already got some fixes. And I suppose, I'm not sure, but I think it's supposed to be a floor all the way over, and then the bracket is welded onto the floor and the inner sill. I think that's the way it's made from the factory. It seems like there are leftover floor on the bracket over there. So I think that's the way it's supposed to be attached to the floor. And it makes sense that this is gone because moisture will get in between the bracket and the floor and it will just rot away. But it seems to be pretty concentrated around the area of the bracket, so I think it will be okay to fix. Unfortunately, even though the bracket is attached over here, it seems to be pretty close to actually letting go also. So I will have to do pretty much the same over here. I am trying to figure out how the bracket is actually attached to the car, if it's welded from the backside on this part of it, and then yeah, I'm just not sure how it's supposed to be welded back on. But I will see if I can do some research about that. It's a Visa, they are known to rust. So with that in mind, I think it's not that bad down here. I've been tapping away with a hammer, and even though there are surface rust up there, it's completely solid. So that's really, really nice. And of course, you can also see that repairs has been done. And I'm not going for showroom as always, but I want it to be solid. So I'll have some work to do right here, that's for sure. So this was the first step of the revival of the Citroen Visa GTI. I'm going to fix that rust and get the rear axle back on. I'm not sure I'm going to make a video on the rust work just yet. I might, we'll see. But I will definitely make a video once I get to putting the rear axle back on. And then I have to decide whether to actually MOT this car or wait a bit, because it's actually, I think with that rust fixed and the rear axle back on, I think it's pretty much MOT ready. And it could be fun to use it just a bit this summer. But we will see about that. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.